Joining me here in Pittsburgh is a wonderful quintet of players drawn from the ranks of the festival orchestra. Gabriel Lefkowitz and Julia Noon are respectively concertmaster and assistant concertmaster of the Louisville Orchestra. Joanne Vasquez and Marie-Hélène Jean-Roy are both violists in the Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra, so they're very much at home here. And cellist Cian Darren Lee is on the faculty of the Cleveland Institute of Music. Following the recording session, they were kind enough to sit down with me and talk about this great quintet by Mozart and a few other things too. Here's part of our conversation.
All right, now let's do it for real.
So folks, I wanted to start with a big personal thank you for all your fantastic music making these last couple of days. I really think for me this is about the only chance that I've had to hear people actually in the same room making music together from start to finish since March. So I wanted to thank you for being the oasis in my musical desert. And let's start with how the experience has been. You've crammed together these rehearsals for this amazing Mozart quintet in a short period of time, the first time you've played together as a quintet. Was there an adjustment period? And if so, how long did it take to find your groove?
Well, I don't want to say that as a musician I've ever taken what I do for granted, but as you're saying, just having the opportunity to do this week reminded me of how much I've missed high-level, high-quality chamber music, and getting to play with my wonderful colleagues here has been so incredible. Adjustment period, sure, just remembering what it's like to be indoors and playing great music with great colleagues again. But it's just been really wonderful.
So let's talk a little bit about Mozart and this incredible piece. I mean, as I've said before, this is one of his greatest pieces, I think. What is it, Joanne, that makes this such an incredible piece of music? What are some of the qualities that speak to you?
Well, to me, playing Mozart quintet usually uses the two violas, and is perfectly matched for the sound of the viola, especially like the dark, melancholic sound, and on the slow movement you can hear the beautiful color of the violas, and then matching the rest of the group, and it's a marvelous experience playing Mozart.
Marie-Hélène, you're the second of the two viola players, so where do you fit into the textures? Joanne says normally they're just two violins, viola, and cello in a quartet, but you're in the unusual position of being the sort of the glue in a way in the middle. Are there special considerations that you have to think of?
Supporting the viola part, and sometimes I'm actually taking the cello role a little bit. When the cello stopped playing, sometimes I have the bass, so I have to bring this out a little bit more. Yeah, I would say supporting the viola part. Sometimes we have, it's getting also the colors and the meat in the sound, and like Joanne mentioned. Yeah, it's wonderful. It's one of my favorites pieces by Mozart, the two violas. I'm kind of biased.
So what are the kind of surprises that Mozart puts in that make, Julia, tell us something that you noticed as you were listening or preparing the piece that you thought, wow, that was unusual, I wasn't expecting that.
I think from the perspective specifically of the second violin, I was surprised by how much he puts my part basically in the viola section. And it's less that I'm playing with Gabe all the time and more that I'm playing with the two violas. It's kind of fun, like playing with the inner voices more.
That's interesting, because I mean, Gabe, you are actually a lot of the time kind of the spotlight on you. It's not exactly a violin concerto, but you have a lot of material to deal with.
Yes, definitely feeling the heat. Playing this part is very, very difficult, but to your point about surprises, you have to concentrate and pay attention like a hawk, because every other measure, it seems, something comes in an unexpected place, some accent or some interruption to a phrase. just happens when you least suspect it. And in a way, that's the genius of Mozart, just his, working in traditional forms, but having so much inspiration in any given moment and doing something so refreshing and youthful that really surprises listeners and performers alike.
Mm-hmm.
How about the minuet for surprises?
Yeah.
Right? Isn't that something that just, first of all, that it's in the wrong place. Traditionally, the minuet would come as a third movement, and that it comes as a second movement, and then all these accents, as you say, on the wrong beat of the bar. Why do you think he put the minuet second and the slow movement third? I have an idea, but I'm wondering if this makes sense. That I think he wanted to put the emotional weight further on in the piece, because that slow movement is really quite. It just comes from the heart, and by delaying it, that it puts it in an even more special place and heightens the expectations. I don't know, does that make sense?
Absolutely, and even the way he comes out of that incredible slow movement, if it was followed by a minuet, I think it would be, as you say, less powerful as what comes after the slow movement in this, in his actual formatting, which is another slow kind of, so full of pathos, slow introduction to then the happiest, joyous, most innocent kind of finale. So there's another, incredible musical surprise.
Absolutely. I don't know about you. The first time I heard this, I thought, we got to the end of the slow, and I thought, oh, that's so beautiful. And then this movement starts out, and wait, are there 5 movements in this piece? Is there a second slow movement? See, and does that seem to you like it's an unusually long introduction?
Yeah, I think the last movement, the slow part, serves as an introduction, and to me, and also, although it might looks like we have 2 slow movements, but those 2 slow movements, very different in terms of character and energy. So to me, I think the second one, it's more tragic in some ways, So then, and it's short. Then the music goes to the next movement that is playful and joyful as well. So it's a wonderful contrast.
And you're like an opera singer in that introduction, aren't you, Gabe? Essentially, it's like, it reminds me of that's actually the same key in the Magic Flute, which comes not long after that. That's great Pamina's aria, Ach, ich fühl's. And he gives you this incredibly sad, lonely music at the beginning. What goes through your head when you're playing that?
Well, all I can say, my colleagues make it very, very easy for me by setting such a beautiful padding to the melody that I come in and play. I really just take my cues from what they're doing and the scene that they set. And yeah, absolutely. You find evidence of Mozart's incredible melodic writing as most strongly in opera, but then it influences everything he does. And this is very much a kind of operatic melody over this incredible lush pad of music. Yeah,
absolutely. Julia, you and Gabe share a lot of things in life, including the stage in Louisville, where you are both associate concertmaster and concertmaster. So you're used to sitting next to one another. Is it different when you're playing chamber music together than when you're playing orchestra? How does that work?
Different? Well, it's different. Just that we're not playing the same thing for once. Is kind of refreshing to be able to have different voices and interact in that way, and not just be playing exactly the same notes all the time. So that is definitely refreshing.
We also live together, so we can hear each other practice. And so when we come to the first rehearsal, we're not surprised by what the other person is doing. Because, oh yeah, I remember that's the tempo you like.
Well, I was going to say, because have you been rehearsing at different tempos, and you can tell, oh, she's playing that slower than I think I'm going to play it.
Yeah, just
100%.
Bang on the ceiling
100%.
when I hear something I don't like.
Yeah, the other day. I was listening to a recording of this, and he came in and he was like, "Don't listen to that recording. I'm not doing it like that."
Joanne and Marilyn, you've been longtime colleagues in Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra, and as I've mentioned in our introduction here, you are on home turf. How many years have you been playing Sun Valley now? Can you do
20 years.
Is it really that many?
20 years, yes.
Amazing.
And we're stand partner in Pittsburgh too.
So, wow. So have you played much chamber music together over the years?
Yeah, kind of.
Couple times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Times. Not enough. We have to do this again.
Well, there's usually not much the time with a major orchestra. Your schedule's so busy. It's I guess the upside of all that we're dealing with now is that we have the time to do this project.
And it was so wonderful having the colleagues here in Pittsburgh. When you called me and you said we had that project of doing a quintet here in Pittsburgh, it was so exciting. And having them, then like you said, come to Pittsburgh with different maybe ideas, but we put them together, made it work, and I believe it sounded wonderful.
Absolutely, no, it does. And Cien, this is chamber music, of course, is your bread and butter since you're on the faculty at the Cleveland Institute of Music, and so you do this as a matter of course all the time. You obviously are a very, very much an experienced chamber musician. Is the Mozart, the Mozart Quintet have a special place for you in the output?
Oh, absolutely, especially this one, K516. This one is, because the harmony in this piece, they're just absolutely incredible. And they bring because of the harmony, so like it really affects how you feel. One moment could be very happy, and the next moment it's sad, and also sometimes in between, and also about playing this piece, with my wonderful colleagues, for me it has been a very memorable experience and very inspirational. So yes, I have performed, this piece before, but there's something about this, this time, since day one, I got to Pittsburgh like 2 days ago, our first rehearsal already. Right. I mean, from the very, very beginning, I just had a feeling this is going to go very well. I'm going to miss those people.
Well, maybe we can sort of find a situation where we can recap this in real life. I mean, of course, we're recording it as you know, but since it's sort of ready to go in the future, maybe we'll just find some sort of flash mob situation where we just descend on Ketchum Town Square and say, okay, how does that sound?
That's great.
Sure.
We planted the seed of an idea this afternoon.
Yeah.
Well, listen, thank you so much for everything that you've lent to this project. As I said earlier, it's just been such a privilege and a pleasure for me to hear your music making over the last couple of days. And thank you so much for everything that you've done.
Thank you, Alasdair.
Thank you.
Really.